It's named and affectionately known as the City of Running, and given the last couple of years of runs in the road and also on the track, it could easily be renamed City of the Running of World Records. And today we could be chasing even more records. Remember 12 months ago, Lithanet Gillies stormed that women's world record, 62 minutes and 52 seconds. And it was back in 2021. We have one of the athletes returning today. That was Kibrot Candy, who went a phenomenal 30 seconds inside the old world record when he ran 57.32. That was eclipsed a year later by the Ugandan Jacob Kiplimo, and so we're looking to retain back the world record to Valencia in the men's to match the women's. It looks like Mark Rogue has done an amazing job putting together a phenomenal elite field. The leaders and the main packs will be off at 8:25. You can see the numbers. The atmosphere was absolutely buzzing even early this morning when it was still dark this morning. And so many national club athletes, also former Spanish international athlete Jose Antonio Redolont, putting together another stellar Spanish field as well. They flock here. Obviously, the marathon will be here on the 4th of December, so many athletes preparing for that. But this is part of, obviously, the World Athletics series of road races and also the Super Half series, and many athletes are flocking here from around the world. I think it's 99 nations that have made their way to the beautiful city of Valencia, looking for fast times, and they always come here expecting good conditions. As I said, there is almost zero wind out there, and if you're talking about courses and elevation, there is, I think, only 18 meters of elevation on the whole 21-kilometer course here in Valencia. We are by the Polytechnic University for the start and the finish, almost in unison. Those that know the iconic marathon finish by the hemispheric. So we're just a few kilometers north of that for the start and finish of the half marathon. And you can see the athletes that we saw warming up earlier in their large packs. So just some of them to look out for. We've already mentioned Kibrot Candy, a phenomenal performer over the half marathon. Hasn't quite translated that into the full marathon distance yet, but look out for him as a marathon runner in the future. You can see on the start line there, Emil Caress, some talk about him in the week, challenging maybe some Mo Farah's British record, 59.32 from Lisbon. So Emil, he's in great form, running in Cardiff last weekend over the cross-country distance, so around about 10 kilometres. So we're looking to double that and go faster on the road. And you can see a strong Spanish contingent, and we'll keep you updated with those as we go through, looking to get inside the hour and challenge the national record. As I think one athlete going back the wrong way towards the start line. So that's Nilsson, the Swedish athlete, a stalwart of the Swedish national team. So just one athlete making his way as the gun goes, and one athlete's going to have to get himself back behind the start line. So we're off the start of the 2022 Valencia Half Marathon at Trinidad Alfonso Zurich, and if we're looking at getting towards record pace in the men, so we're looking at around about 2:43 to 2:44 a kilometre. So that would be inside around inside the 13:45 mark for the 5 kilometre splits. And women, if we're going to get towards that women's world record, then inside 3 minutes per kilometre. So it is big numbers here, over 20,000 runners that will grace the streets, and there'll be a few chasing these up front. The paces do an absolutely critical job setting their pace, and one of those from last year, Daniel Makakio, he was a strong athlete. I think he even dropped a 2:37 kilometre at number 13. So but he goes over the full distance today, so he doesn't have to worry about the pacing duties. That is some of the other athletes that we will see at the front, that they normally run about 2 or 3 paces at the front of these big races, because the quality and pace needed up front, as we said, when you're looking at chasing that 57.31 world record, then the quality of paces that you need. So looking at some of the athletes in there, see Sebastian Soit. He's not raced in Valencia, but he has raced in Spain previously, the Seville Half Marathon, where he's been a pacemaker as well, and also run very well on the track as well. and various distances as well. So he's someone definitely to look out for. It's been a Kenyan stronghold in this event, with some Ethiopian athletes getting amongst the winners here as well. So there's going to be, obviously, look out for Yomef Kedelcha, so the tall figure. The Ethiopian won here in 2019, but not interestingly run the distance since. Obviously, the pandemic has probably a lot to do with that. But he's obviously someone to look out for, and whether he can chase the national record. That's Yamil Yima's record set here in 2018, which is 58.33. And that is Soy on the screen wearing number 2 and looking very relaxed in the early stages, which you would expect. And you can see to his right the pacemaker from last year. So Daniel Medico there, the NN running athlete, just having a look to his left, and they look so easy at a pace that we're expecting to be around about the 2:44 mark for a kilometre. And yes, you would expect them to look relaxed, but it's almost the ease in which they do make it look so effortless. And there's Cesarek, interesting character. So a lot of his time out in the US, the Oregon graduate, and you can see him just checking his watch, and as he does that, he almost checks his stride. So you can see right on the centre of the screen as well, that's one of the athletes definitely look out for. That's Rogers Kwamboy. So did participate previously. He was 9th, and he was disappointed with 59.16 12 months ago. So, but he did make up for it, he said, in RAC when he ran a phenomenal 58.30, and he's also won the Istanbul half marathon. So another character on the right-hand side. That's Cam Levens, 4th in the World Championships in Oregon, 2:07 quality running. And that's a caption back to the women's race. So we don't really expect them to chase the world record from last year. I mean, that was just a phenomenal performance. But interesting debut, the European 5,000 meter champion, Konstantin Klosterheiden. So a quality athlete on the track, and she maybe has her eyes on the European record, 65.15, Savine Hassan's record, and that would be a very quality debut. And she's definitely got the track pedigree. And again, it's always fascinating when athletes step up to the half marathon distance, especially off the back of a successful track season, with the amount of speed in the legs. And you would have thought the mileage that affectionately known as Coco, as you can see on her bib, that the German athlete would be putting in a summer season. And that's Coman on her inside. So again, a strong Kenyan contingent in this women's race. Also look out for the Turkish athlete Yasmin Khan, who also had a successful European Championships. So she was obviously second behind Klosterhofen in that 5,000 meters, but took the 10,000 meter title there in Munich. And she does hold the national record just outside 66 minutes. I see Derek Hawkins there, a British Olympian. So that probably gives you context that they must be travelling at least a 65, maybe the 64 midpoint at the moment. And there is Levens, the Canadian. He got such great support in the World Championship Marathon, and just came up short of a medal. But when you saw him after, I had a good chat with him when he was walking outside the stadium, and he was absolutely beaming. I think that was a kind of, really big performance by an athlete that put big mileage in. If you've ever looked at his training blogs, he has never been afraid of putting in some big mileage, and kind of went off the boil for a couple of years. He's gone back to that, and that 2:07 performance in Oregon, and just outside that medal podium position. But I think that will really set his confidence, and he's only got a 62 best over the half marathon distance, Levens, so expect that to be shattered today. And as he almost checks his stride and decides to get onto the back of the lead group. So you see Candy there, so a very efficient mover. And the half marathon really does suit him. The amount of times he's been sub 59 minutes. He's probably the most consistent of our recent half marathon runners in the world. And you can almost set your watch by him over the half marathon distance. And the pacing trio doing a really good job up front at the moment. And they're just checking their watches, checking the pace. They'll be obviously looking at the kilometre splits. Kedelcha That's the athlete we talked about earlier, previous winner here. So tall, rangy athlete. So he's said he checks his watch, almost probably to check is he on Ethiopian national record pace. But on the left-hand side, you can see the mass is still going over the start line, and we expect that for a while today. So it takes a little bit of time to filter 20,000 athletes over a start line. And as I said, there was a real great buzz in Valencia this morning and in the different hotels and the lobbies of athletes. That smell of deep heat and that smell of nervous coffees being digested as they stroll towards the start line. But as I said, I think the conditions here, I mean, I was jealous myself that I was going to take my place up in the commentating box, because I think if you were half in shape or even half not in shape, the conditions and the course here in Valencia, given that they do such a good job looking at trying to maximise the lack of turns and trying to make it as fast as possible. There's Cheeky, the Spanish athlete, just checking. Mohammed, the British athlete, ran also in Cardiff last week in the Cardiff Cross. Jack Rowe, another British athlete, very talented athlete. So the Aldershot and Farnham district athlete anchored their club to the National Road Relay Championships, overtaking Leeds in the last leg. And he's finished a couple of times in the podium positions at the big half this year behind Sir Mo Farah, who obviously didn't end up getting to the start line of London. But that big half course is quite a tough course, so that would probably put Jack Rowan around about the 61-minute shape a month or so ago. So he'd be looking to match that, and he could well be someone to go inside 61 minutes. But when you look at the depth of Valencia, and you look at the depth of those that have run here in the last few years, the top 10 is always inside 60. They've gone through 3 kilometres, and the clock was showing, there you go, 8:22. So the world record pace showing 8:11, but consistent pacing. 8:15 was around about the time that we expected. So maybe just a little bit outside. And they did look probably a little bit conservative in that early kilometre, and you can see the projected time. Still a blister in. We get almost spoilt nowadays that we think sub 59 minutes is not quite as quick as we want. So there's Edward Cheswick on the left-hand side, and the pacers. Again, just looking very relaxed at the front. And they just a quick check to their right again. See Karui wearing number 11. Kibiwat on his right, both wearing the same singlets. Kip Limo. So Kip Limo, again, a very strong athlete and someone that has good pedigree. As we can see, the pacers, or I'd say some of them aren't pacers, there are quality national athletes, and some of them Spanish internationals that are tucked into this group with the lead women. And I think that is the Ethiopian there right on the inside. That's Hawa Fisa. So she's run the Valencia half marathon last year. She ran 67:25, but in better shape. So she's a 65:41 from Copenhagen in 2021. So you can just see the pack of athletes surrounding the lead women. So it's a luxury there that they almost have multiple of pacemakers, but it can get a little bit crowded sometimes. It's definitely busy out there. It's just the Kosahaven just having a little nudge of an athlete there, almost to say I'm moving slightly faster. And I think that's what they're going to have to judge, is the pace of the athletes that have gone out in front. And they do have their set pacemakers, the elite women, and that's about the third time Kosterhausen has almost stumbled on athletes around her. So she needs to settle her pace. She's only 10 minutes into the race. Doesn't want to be wasting needless energy in the early stages. But that's such an important factor that they sort of look at their effort throughout the race. When you're looking at a 60-minute race, they are operating on the limit literally for that 60 minutes. There is those runners out there. They're past the 4 kilometers in 11:12. So those that do a lot of tempo running, it is right on that tempo limit for that hour. As you can see that, the world record is probably slipping away slightly, but we do know that there's been some big splits, some big negative splits in races where people have put down some big 5-kilometre splits. And given the quality of this field, I'm not going to rule it out yet, but it does make it a little bit more challenging. We would have expected it to have been a little bit faster up front, but you know, there's still a lot of running to go. And there is Camboy to his left, and that's Kip Limo right in the centre. You see a couple of the NN running team with the red cycle shorts and the white singlet there. Matigo and Quemboy, those two athletes, and just on the back of that group is still Cam Levens, who looks like he's just almost just taking a ride with Kadelcha right on the centre of the screen, and again still looking very controlled, and it's a very large pack of runners, so expecting it to break up as the race unfolds, and expecting the sustained pace if we do operate and start operating around that 2:45 and beyond per kilometre split. So getting good support on the course side. You know, Valencia definitely supports its runners. It's a, as I said, it's a city known for running. And if you've ever been to Valencia, so the Parc Tour is an absolutely stunning park in the centre. Has a marked out 5K loop that I'm looking to venture on this afternoon, and a former river that ran through the city, and yeah, they had issues with flooding, so they ended up turning it into a park. So it's a stunning park to have in the centre of a city, and definitely allows a lot of running and mileage, and it's a beautiful surface underfoot. So if you do get a chance to go to Valencia, it's a wonderful city, for famous also for its paella. So if you fancy your seafood and you like your restaurants, beautiful restaurants, and it's had a real mix of kind of new buildings. We know that with the finish of the marathon down at the Herisfarik, and the museum, stunning. So this is probably the battle for the Spanish title. So the athletes out there, there's always a big contingent. As I said earlier, Jose Antonio Redolant, the former Spanish 1500 metre champion, who puts together the Spanish fields, and they would love to challenge the national record. I mean, it's a record that is just inside the hour, and you can see they have their own paces as well, and a few different nationalities in there. See Ben Flanagan, another Canadian, so they've passed 5 kilometres in around about 14:20. Flanagan, winner of the recent Falmouth race again. And if you get a chance to look at his finish as he crosses the line, he does an extraordinary kind of jump or skip across the line. So he's a talented athlete as well, that we expect to make a big jump up to the marathon. See Mohammed just behind him, the Southampton athlete, just adjusting his vest, and interesting, a slight gap back to Jack Rowe. Almost would have expected Jack Rowe to have been with this this pacing group. So given that they're trying to operate in the low 60-minute mark, so just having a look over his shoulder, so he knows he's on the back of this group, so he doesn't want to get detached. And Flanagan just having a word with the motorcycle, so almost just saying to him, just give me a bit of space. So I think that's always the challenge of a broadcaster, to get great shots, but yeah, not to get in the way of the athletes. So Flanagan just pointing the way as Mohammed trying to get back, and look at that left-hand side. So the oldest athlete towing the line today, 79 years of age, and the youngest, I think there's a few 17-year-olds out there. I think there's even a couple of 17-year-olds that are doing that on their birthday. So young and old, those making their half marathon debuts, and those that have been here multiple times. It's, as I said, it's a city people will flock to, and that Spanish record, Fabian Ronchero's, going back to 2001. So it stands at 59:52. So that is a bonus that in the pay structure here that they do recognise, and there is a pay structure that these guys will obviously have their eye on. And when you start looking at the performances, I think it's inside 58.5 minutes to get the the full amount of money, and then obviously the positions. And I was having a chat with some agents, I think, at London, and they talk about the positions and performances of some athletes that, you know, they're running 59.5 minutes and just getting their flights paid for now. So that is the standard of half marathon running in the world at the moment. They've gone through 6 kilometers there, and you can see Hilary Chepkwone, the pacers, alongside Isaac Kibet. So 13:57. So it is slower than anticipated, and we expect it to pick up. And that's back to the lead women, who just have a check over their shoulder, and that's Coman on the inside. So just have a little look around and just tucking in behind the pacemaker. And that is, that is Derek Hawkins on the front of that group as well. So I think Derek is out there racing. So the 2016 Olympian. And Reed just in front of them. So this, I think, is our lead female. Difficult to tell sometimes, given the masses of men around them. But and the fact that we're running around about the 64-minute pace, and look at the amount of runners that we have that are gone out at that speed, at that pace. So and last year, there's about Gidai not just skipping the 63-minute mark. So and it's currently that time 62:52 is on the world ranking points. So the point system is the highest female distance record. So that means it's the best distance record in the books. And when you start looking at the marathon world record, and you look at the progression now, start to think that that women's world record will start maybe going towards that 2:12 mark. And you know, we've had athletes that have gone through now in halfway marks in 65 minutes, and so I don't think we're that far away from seeing a woman run 2:12. And whether that is going to be in Valencia in a month's time over the full marathon distance. So it's definitely somewhere where athletes come to because of the lack of elevation, the conditions, the pacing groups, and again, look at that as a pack of athletes. So that's our second group out on the road. Coman up the road by probably about 10 meters. You can see Yasmin Khan tucked into that group. Moanta, the Kenyan on the side of Costa Halden, the German athlete, just in the blue. So and their pacer leading them through the early stages. They've gone through 6 kilometers. That was about 400 meters ago. So again, we'll try and get a 5 kilometer split for the lead women. See where whereabouts they're operating at pace wise. So again, the bit of open road now. I think that will suit Costa Halden now. She didn't seem to be too much enjoying the big pack. So there's our two pacers on the front, and doing a controlled job with that run check vest on. So a lot of quality races organised by their organisation, and there's our previous champion here and the previous world record holder. So Candy. And he looks in business today early on, and he's next to Soy, who's just moving up. World rankings this year, Jacob Kiplimo's the rack race in the UAE, so operating the first 8 or 7th fastest times in the world this year. Rogers Crumboy was second in that race, who we have out on the road today, behind the world record holder, Jacob Kiplimo, the winner of the 5 and 10,000 meters in the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham. And Cheeky just checking his watch, and it looks like he's maybe just been dropped off that pack. So that'll be slightly frustrating for him. I'm sure he would have liked to have stayed longer with that lead group, because it just makes it a little bit more of a longer run for home. And when you're only a third of the race in, it really is a longer distance to concentrate for, to pace it for. And I think he would have rather been on the group in front, but maybe just not in the shape that he wanted to be in to chase that Spanish record. But he's maybe going to wait for the group to chase him behind, so to make contact, and one of those I could see was Jack Rowe. So literally just Juan Antonio Perez. So and he's affectionately known as Cheeky. So having a little look and just settling into his running again. So maybe he's got a best of just inside the hour, but it would be a big ask. Have to improve by a whole minute. So not so easy to do, and I think he's dropping off that pace today somewhat. So Soy looking over at his watch again. So they'll just be trying to gauge their pace, gauge the early stages. So they will have definitely settled into the pace now. And the next kind of vital split that we get will be the 10-kilometer split. And we wanted something around about the 27:30 mark, but given that we were just inside 14 minutes through the halfway mark, makes it a little bit more challenging to do that. So, and it is the pacemaker duo there, and you can see 26 seconds off the world record at 8 kilometers. So 22:15 is the 8-kilometer split. So, and there's the projected time, so 28:40. But as I said, I think given the strength of this field, given the strength of the athletes out there, that this will definitely pick up pace-wise, and we'll definitely see an increase in speed as the race progresses. So Camboy there, that's a high arm carriage, and Edward Cheserek on the back of that group. So great shot. Look at the cadence of our lead female out there, Coleman. She's looking very relaxed, and she's flowing as that heel recovery. See those legs almost spinning, and the pacemaker just again just having a little check to make sure that she's there with him, and just a little gap there, and that has closed, I think, that chasing group behind. So expect that maybe to come back together as one. So I think we didn't expect it to break up early on, given the quality. So Purity Coleman there is the 26 seconds through 5 kilometers for Purity. And again, she does look controlled, but I think we are going to get a pack that will come back together, I think. I don't think she's going to run away with it. And I think given the strength in numbers behind in that chase group, so the 24-year-old Kenyan athlete, so she'll be looking to improve her best today, and going over the half marathon distance. So she doesn't really have a super fast time to her name. So only 67:10 in Lille this year. So but expecting the speed she's running at the moment, so way inside that. And she's run one previous to that. That was another 67-minute clock in. That was in Bahrain back in December of 2021. So 2:67-minute clock in Purity, but and she's running way inside that at the moment. So the pacers check their clocks 25 minutes, around about at the 9-kilometer mark. So we are going to be inside 28 minutes, but more around about probably the 28:45 mark. And so it has picked up slightly in this second 5 kilometers, but yeah, not really quick enough at the moment to challenge world record. And there's another one of the waves, so the different waves that are set off at various times. And you can see the T-shirts out there in force. That's the T-shirt for the 2022 edition of the Valencia Half Marathon, with the support of the Trinidad Alfonso Foundation and the title sponsor Zurich. Always put together a stellar elite field up front, but also the masses are really catered for. As I said, 20,000 runners, and only a blip in the pandemic year when they were unable to stage it. So the event has just gone from strength to strength. And as I said, a lot of these runners are getting ready for the marathon on the 4th of December, so it fits nicely into their preparation. And you see Kadelcha there on the left-hand side of the screen. So the previous champion here. And I think that does indicate that the pace has picked up. Edward Chesrek, the Kenyan, has just dropped off that pack now. And he's around about 20 meters off that. So the athlete that finished second in the Great North Run last year behind Mark Scott, will be slightly disappointed that he's dropped off this pack. He's a sub 350 miler. You might have remembered that a few years ago from Boston. So great speed. And yeah, he's a 60-minute half marathon man, but he would have loved to have gone inside 60 minutes. And he still might be operating at that pace at the moment. As a Purity Coman, you can see her lead just being edged away almost meter by meter, by kilometre by kilometre. So I don't think they're going to let her go. Costerhausen is the athlete almost enforcing that the pacer and that chase group operate at a speed that she wants. We said Safin Hassan's European record could well come under threat today. So that low 65-minute time would be a fantastic debut for an athlete that is the national record holder in Germany over so many distances on the track. And I think that performance in Munich, very emotional, given that she just hadn't had the last couple of years that she had wanted. And it was a dominant performance. And I wasn't in the stadium, but I heard reports back that it was an absolutely phenomenal atmosphere for Costerhausen as she graced the Munich track and came home to that gold medal. So, but I think gracing the roads of Valencia at the moment, that's Purity Coman, the 24-year-old Kenyan. So as I said, this would be a big step up for her. So she's got a very economical road style. You can see that. And at the moment, she's got clear road of the one pacemaker in front of her. So in terms of pacing, she's been able to control it, and she hasn't had too many of the athletes around her. So that we've seen that have sometimes got in the way a little bit of settling into a rhythm. And you can see that there's the group behind that are trying to come back. So we have one big league group in the women's race, and they're getting towards the halfway mark as well. So we're trying to get their 10 kilometer split first. So remember, they were 15:26 through the first 5 kilometers. So, and that's 26 seconds slower than Gillet's world record last year, where she went quicker and quicker. 15 first 5k, and then it was a 29:30 next 10 kilometers. So there's the affectionate known cheeky there. So it's just, yeah, you can see just that head rocking to the left, and a little bit of a grimace as well. So I think that does probably say that he's not operating quite at the speed he wants to towards that Spanish record. So and there we are, 27:48. So yeah, we have picked up the second 5 kilometers, but you can see that 27:16 needed for a world record. And you can see the projected time on the left-hand side is getting marginally faster. So we are picking the pace up as we go. So we kind of did expect that, given the large group, and given the quality of runners that we have out on the streets of Valencia. So you can see the bright sunshine now. So around about 21 degrees. We expect by midday to get up to about 25 degrees. So no wind. You can see the park on the left-hand side, the Tour Park there. And they're just snaking their way through the city centre as they pass the 11 kilometres. So there are a few switchbacks on the course, so it does allow the spectators to make their way over and cheer on at various different points. Those friends and family they have out on the course, there's various bands out that we're making loads of noise on the course as well, so really adding to the atmosphere. And there's always a carnival atmosphere in Valencia, so always support their running races. So if you haven't been to Valencia for either the half marathon or the marathon, or the 10k as well, that people have run super fast at as well. We've had world records here as well. Joshua Cheptegei breaking the world road and track 10ks in Valencia. So do put it on your bucket list of cities to come to. As I said, so many hotels and so many lovely restaurants and a beautiful evening weather to stroll around, and said for runners. So paradise of that park in the centre, and just by the beach as well. So I don't know what else you would want from a city, as well as two super fast races. And there is Purity Coleman, who has been swallowed up by the lead group. That's interesting now that they've decided that they weren't going to let her have any more of a distance, and they were just going to bring them back together. So you can see, I think Margaret Chalimo's in there. She's 65.26. And Victoria Chepgano is another athlete that is the fastest in the field, 65.03. So Howie Fasisa is another athlete there that is under that 66-minute mark. There you go. We're at operating 31.08. So just a slight decrease in pace. And that does operate then in the 65.40 mark. So we did anticipate a time around about the low 65 mark. So, and you can see the record and the splits that were needed for the record. And yeah, world records are gone. I think that that record last year, I was just almost from another planet. That I think Mark Rogue was quite honest about that in some of the press conferences, that they weren't necessarily chasing the world record in the women's race. That was a phenomenal performance 12 months ago. But I think they're more concerned with it just being a quality race this year out, where it's about the speed of the athletes. So paces in the men's race. So Isaac Gubet, Nadana have done a great job. Hilary Kepchoge is another one that has been leading the way. Other pacemakers that in the women's, I think down, we've got Jeremiah Chesrek and Azaro Mangis. They're just some of the paces that we've got, and I think they do such a good job. Another couple of paces, I think Abel Mutai and Bernard Yegon. So the paces here at Valencia, as in all of the major half marathons and marathons around the world, so their jobs are so vital for setting the pace. And Azaro Mangis there, you can see him on the centre, the Ethiopian. So we're in 2:53. And it's yeah, Jeremiah Chesrek is the athlete next to him, 2:52, and these are quality runners in their own right, and that's why they've been given the job to set the pace at this 65-minute mark, and expect them to go almost the full distance and maybe just peel off right at the end, or depends if they fancy a finishing time or not. So I'm sure some races won't allow them to finish, and other races are quite happy for them to cross the line as well. So slightly different, I think, in the men's race. I think with the paces being right out in front, whereas the women's, they're tucked into what is a large pack as well. As that large pack that we had in the men's is now down to 5 athletes, and it's Sebastian Soy on the back of that group. So his personal best, one of the fastest of all time, 58.02, and just starting now just to struggle. Kibwat Candy, the bronze medalist from the Birmingham 10,000 metres. So that tall arm carriage of his, so economical over the half marathon distance. Metico there, the NM running athlete. And he doesn't look like he's got a bead of sweat on him. So the NMT, I know that are here, will be cheering course side. And I know they've got such a vast amount of people behind the scenes. They'll all be cheering, I'm sure, from various locations around the world, whether they're at training camps. And there's Parker Stinson. And there's, I think that's the first of maybe or second of our Spanish athletes, Barzola. And just with that cap on back to front, Jack Rowe, who I mentioned earlier, so in the luminous yellow. So Parker Stinson, who is a very good US distance runner. Again, someone that will be looking to go around the 61-minute mark, and Jack Rowe as well, as they're starting to reel in a few runners. But again, we'll try and get a guesstimate of the pace that they're on for at the moment. It's definitely splintered. It just shows you that the quality and the speed of running up front. That we have athletes running probably around about the 61-minute mark, and they're almost in a second or third race out there. So fast running, that's Salvador on the screen there, and this could be a move. This could be Kimbwat Candy's move towards the top spot on the podium again. I think he recognises probably that the world record is gone, the one that he held, and he will want back again. Jacob Kiplimo's record just 1 second faster than Kimbwat Candy's, and you can see Kadelcha, a former winner here. He's in that chase group. Had to go the other athlete, and Kimatai, the second group out on the road, but it is the leader at the moment. 37 minutes on the race clock, and this 13 kilometers is always a quick one. It was a 2:37 last year by the athlete actually in that chase group who was a pacer. So Daniel Matiko was the pacer 12 months ago and dropped to 2:37 on this stretch of road. So, but he's not able to run that this year, or maybe he is, but maybe Kimbwat Candy is traveling even faster. As I said, the elevation on the course, just 18 meters over the 21 kilometer distance, so 13 miles, and there was almost no incline on the course whatsoever. So if you're a fan of a course with no hills, and if you're a fan of almost minimal wind, you know, there has been a little bit of a breeze sometimes in the marathon, and they've actually had a breeze in the half marathon, but today there was a minimal breeze out there. I said you quite like running in the upper teens, and around about probably 19-20 degrees right now. So if that is your fancy, then Valencia is definitely for you. So almost coming to 2/3 of the way through the race, and then we're going back, action replay of Kimbwat Candy just spinning those legs, a 26-year-old Kenyan, so who, as we said, hasn't quite made the transition to the marathon quite as successfully yet, and gone back to running on the track. And again, I think that's not a bad thing for athletes to keep in touch with their speed. I say speed, there's you know, running the speed over the 10-kilometer distance is definitely speed that a lot of these athletes that will want to translate into road running. And look at that as he goes round that corner and focused on the road in front. So again, if you're at home looking for technical models of running, so that relaxed shoulder action and that almost effortless stride as he uses. And you know, we've got to talk about, obviously, you know, shoe technology over the last few years has definitely, you know, taken time off performances, and athletes are definitely maximising their time out on the road. But still, the quality of engines. I mean, you know, the previous world record, Tedeschi, you know, that 58 clocking was way before shoe technology really exploded. So the half marathon, even though it's about a minute quicker than it once was, so we probably haven't seen quite the super progressions, or maybe that probably gives testament to Tedeschi's former world record, the Air Train. But interestingly, he never quite made the transition to the full marathon either. So I think we stuck around the 2:09, 2:10 mark, and for someone that had run 58 minutes for half marathon, you would have put your money on him going inside 2:05. But that does show some athletes that they are very, very good half marathon runners, and doesn't always mean that they're going to translate it into the full marathon distance. So this athlete isn't worried about the full marathon distance right now. He is almost got the half marathon down to an art form, and he knows exactly when to push. He's so consistent at going sub 59 minutes, and we've been operating inside 59 minutes for the whole race. So, and the fact that it looks like it's getting quicker and quicker, interesting to see what the 15-kilometer split is. Don't forget, it went through 27:48 through that 10 kilometers. So expect this to be the fastest 5-kilometer split of the race so far. So big wide spaces on the road. You see the locals, the running enthusiasts, getting their pictures of the leader out there. That is the Kenyan athlete, Kimbwat Candy. So a winner here previously, and I think he might have half an eye on the world best this year. It's just inside 58 minutes, and that is by the athlete that does have his world record. So I'm sure he'd love to be #1 in the world for this year. So Jacob Kiplimo's time just inside the 58-minute mark. So, yeah, but Kibwat Candy, that phenomenal race 2 years ago. So where he did beat Kiplimo that day. So head-to-head here. So just 5 seconds, and that race we had Ronex Kipyuto also inside 58 minutes as well as Alexandra Monoko also inside. So what a performance there when you have 4 athletes inside. There you go, 15 kilometers, and it has picked up, and it's picked up substantially as we were kind of expecting. So we're just 21 seconds now outside the world record. So we've gone to 58-minute projected time. So it's obviously going towards the world best for this year. So we're the fastest time in 2022. That will be target number 1. But is there anything he can do? He's 21 seconds outside world record pace. So that is a really tall ask. So, and then you can see 10 seconds back to Kudelcha, Kennedy, Kumatai, and Matiko are those 3 athletes locked in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Sebastian Soy holding that distance, around about 4 seconds back in 5th place. So is there anything he can do to close that gap? And there's our lead women, and you can see Klosterhausen on the centre of that lead group. And the paces again, just checking their watches. That's Chesrek, and I think that's Hewa Fasea, the Ethiopian, on the left-hand side. And again, we're looking out for their 15-kilometre split. I think Irene Kamas and Yasmin Khan also in there as well. That could be Gabo Salama. Yeah, I think that is. So she's a 66.35 athlete. So we're running way inside that, and just one of the Spanish athletes there that he's operating at 65-minute pace, and you know, could be running way towards a personal best, but kind of getting swallowed up again by this lead women pack. As I'm trying to just work out how many we've got. We'll maybe get an update of, there you go, of their 14-kilometre. They've gone through 43.39. So paces stayed around about the same. So 65.46 is the projected time for the finish. So the halfway split, the 15-kilometre split will be the next split that we look for. And there's looks like it's 4 or 5. No, it's 5 women in this league group. And yeah, the 15-kilometre split, if they have maintained around about the 15:30 mark, so we're expecting around about the 46, around about the 46:45 mark for the 15 kilometres. And Klosterhausen looking very relaxed, and also very impressed with Gabo Salama there, because she doesn't look as if she's in any distress whatsoever. And in fairness to Klosterhausen, Coco, she's looking very good as well. So that on the right-hand side is cheeky again. So with Mohammed, so he looks like he's rallied a bit. He looks a lot better than he did a few kilometres ago. So he was definitely looking as if he was struggling around about the 20-minute mark, but definitely looking a lot better, and looking as if he's maybe picked up the pace a little bit, and has 4 in his group, but probably operating around about the 61-minute mark for Juan Antonio Perez. So as I said, he's just inside the 60-minute mark. The 61-minute mark at best, and he had hopes of going inside the 60-minute mark, but I think that's been dashed today, so it won't be as fast as that, as not as fast as this guy. And look at that, it's such an efficient running style, and just almost looks like he's out for a Sunday run here in Valencia. And I think that's a great shot, with the masses going out on their journey. As they're in the early stages of their half marathon, they're going to look over and in awe see Kibwat Candy, who's inside now, the last 5 kilometres away from the finishing line here. So we're near to the Polytechnic University, so he's got some long straight roads, and be getting some great support. So as the masses travel around the city, and as I said, historical old buildings, the 16th century cathedral there, and that has apparently the Holy Grail within it. So But this man seems to have found the holy grail himself for half marathon running, because he just gets better and better and so consistent over the half marathon distance. So his consistency and his record and experience, and then we go to Costa-Haldon, who's making her debut, and there you go. There's the 15 kilometers, and it is, as I said, around about the 46-45 mark. There you go, almost bang on to my prediction. So and that does show, yeah, 2.5 minutes off the world record. So again, almost just let's forget that world record. That was a Bob Beamon-esque. If you think about back to the US long jumper for Mexico City that shattered the world record in the long jump. So Gidai's run last year was that in the equivalent of the half marathon distance. But this is a fascinating battle now, and this is what they did want. Mark Rogue wanted this in Valencia this year. He wanted a race. I think that's what the spectators want, and also if we were to get a European record, that would be very special. They do have the plaques and the big checks to show to the media for national records, European records, world records, and so the European one, they might want to dust it off, but it does need a quick last 5 kilometers, because Costa-Haldon's probably around about 20-30 seconds outside of that record at the moment, so she would really need to pick it up. But we know that there is some strong running in the latter stages of the course here, and as it does start to get competitive, and as she does start to maybe think about, you know, relying on a bit of track speed, then they could definitely pick the pace up. But Kinrock Candy here, he is picking the pace up, or even looking as if he's just maintaining it. And a little look down, and you can see that gap, the foreshortening of the road. It's difficult to tell whether it's the gap's increasing, but it was 10 seconds at the last time check, and we expect it to have gone up slightly more, because the pace and relaxation and the he's getting some good reassurance, I'm sure, from his watch, and whether he's got it on pace, and I wouldn't think he's got it on heart rate, but that number 1 bib of Kinrock Candy was given to the right runner. So as I said, set the world record here 2 years ago, and we're trying to see whether he's going to get close or whether he can challenge it. So needed to pull back 30 seconds over the last 16 kilometers, over the last 6 kilometers. That is hard to do after 15 hard kilometers of running already. And we're probably, as I said, looking at that world best for 2022. That would be probably in his kit contract, a bonus to finish the year as number 1. So that would be also the time bonuses as well. As I said, inside 58 minutes, 58:30 gets you the top prizes, and inside 65 minutes for women. So they'll be maybe looking at, as I said, picking the pace up, but they won't be overly thinking about finance too much. It's about trying to win. This guy, Governor Lama there, the athlete leading, or right on the shoulder. So it's a really good pack there in the women's race, and they're just starting to pick the pace up again, it looks like, and still operating, being very, very consistent. So 16 kilometers, that's almost 10 miles, so just inside 50 minutes. So we're almost at the 10-mile point now. So if you're someone that goes by mileage, so we're around about 5 minutes per mile. So we're operating outside probably around about 3:05 per kilometre. So there you go. So they've maintained the pace very consistently, and maybe just fractionally off the pace that Coco would have wanted if she was going to challenge that European record. But they are going to need to pick it up if they do want to break the European record. So this man, and that gap doesn't look like it's getting any larger, but I don't think he's going to relinquish it at the moment, Kinrock Candy, because he is still looking so strong. And as I said, he doesn't look like there's a bead of sweat on his head whatsoever. So only 9th in that New York debut, but probably such a difference when you go from the flat of Valencia. Anyone that's run New York, the climbs and the stresses in New York, very, very different. So could be that he looks for a change in venue for his next marathon. Maybe his running style and what suits Kiwat Candy. Better is a flat marathon, so not the quad sapping course of New York. So he'll be looking maybe to go again over the distance, double today. But at the moment, as they're picking the pace up in that men's, or maintaining the pace, 51 minutes on the women's race, and Klosterhalden now, you can see there is an increase, and she is trying to ask the questions. The double armor there, and looking to try and break the Ethiopian athlete, but she's holding on really well at the moment. As I said, she's running way inside what she has done previously for this distance, and the debut of Klosterhalden. So she'll be on the unknown now. I think athletes that you know, been preparing for a half marathon, they will have probably done a lot of workouts, maybe towards the 8 to 10 mile mark. But in duration, in distance, yep, they will go up obviously to over half marathon, and obviously at slower paces. But probably in terms of sustained half marathon pace, so she's probably maybe only done up to 8 or 10 miles. And the great former world record holder, the British athlete Steve Jones, used to classically say the halfway mark of the half marathon is 8 miles. So that's when the body starts to tell you that last 5 miles, and especially that last 5 kilometers, if you're not quite ready for that, and that's the unknown. As the hemispheric, you can see that beautiful building in the background that they've now headed away from. So that's an iconic finish of the marathon. So a stunning building that if you are with us for the marathon, then that finish, and people talk about that finish line and how spectacular it is. And they're now going back through the suburban streets, and again you can see great surface under road as well, underfoot. And again they will be starting to hear there's a real buzz here at the finishing line. So the athletes will start to get a sense that they are coming towards the latter stages of the race, and you know, whether Kiwat Candy, whether it was an early bid for glory, so the athletes will be chasing him now, and will be thinking whether they can, you know, run him down. So he is the athlete now that is definitely got the hunted sign on his back. So Klosterhalden. So look at that, so smooth. Was based in the US for a while, and she's now based to a bit in Germany and the US. So many different training bases for Klosterhalden. So and at the moment she's looking supreme out on the streets. But the 22-year-old, Leslie Gowasalama, is the Ethiopian athlete that is not giving up at the moment. So she's a former under-20 world medalist. So talented athlete over the track as a junior, and also cross country as well. And she's run very well on the road as well at certain times. So as I said, she's run very well over 15 kilometers a couple of times in the Netherlands, in Turkey, and but didn't finish in the Olympic Games in 2021 on the track. So she'll be looking to then translate things now, and once you go onto the road, a lot of these athletes will dip back into the track, but they will concentrate very much on road. And if she is now making her way to you know, the road now, then it's probably the marathon being the next stop for her. So, and this is our leader out. Look at that projected time, just slightly dropped now to 58.09. That was probably the strength of the couple of kilometers before that. So into the last 1.1 kilometers now. So into the last business end, 900 meters to go for Kiwat Candy here at the Valencia half marathon, Trinidad Alfonso Zurich 2022. So the police escort behind. You can see the lead camera having to do a good job to stay in front of Kiwat Candy here. 26-year-old Kenyan, winner here previously, and he's into the last half a mile. So we would love to see him attack the world record here again, but it's not to be today. So we are going to look to see if we can go inside the top time in the world for this year. So Jacob Kiplimos, we're looking for 57.56. So that's the time if we're going to get the fastest time in the world for 2022. that would be another big feather in the cap of Valencia. And Candy, just the first kind of sign of fatigue, and as he passed the 600-meter mark around about the 56:30. So I think we are slipping outside 58 minutes unless he can rally and find a quick last 400 meters. I think we are going to slip outside 58 minutes, but that still would be the second fastest time in the world this year. Rogers Quemboy, who's out on the road as well. So currently sits in that second place. So we're with 58:30. So 57:01 as the women are inside the last 2 miles and inside the last 3 kilometers of running. So Kibwat County, 400 meters to go. Yes, 57:10. So projected time is going to be around about the 58-minute mark, 58:10 mark, as the Kibwat County. A little bit of confusion there. Was just checking to make sure, because that often happens in races where the lead vehicles are not allowed into the home straight for safety reasons and TV reasons, and they peel off, and a runner sometimes thinks they've got to follow them. So, but follow the line towards the finishing tape. So Kibwat Candy, Jonas Kudelcha has rallied for second place, but here is the champion for 2022. The champion, the world record holder from 2020, is going to be back on the top spot. It's going to be the second fastest time in the world in 2022. So the champion here in the Valencia Half Marathon, Trinidad Alfonso Zurich 2022, Kibwat Candy, and just outside the 58-minute mark. And that looked like a tired last few kilometers. Worku's running very well, who I think is going to get up for 4th place. Kudelcha's going to take 2nd place, and that is one of the fastest times in the world. Daniel Matiko is going to take 3rd place. The NM running team will be delighted to have another runner on the podium. Worku, he's inside 59 minutes as well. So that's 4 athletes inside 59 minutes. So we're in 10. That looked like a painful, and you can see the pain etched on the faces of these runners. That was a hard bit of running. So and some big time, big performances. As I think that's Kimatai just outside 59 minutes. So he's got a 58:28 at best, and Sebastian Soy, he'll be slightly disappointed today. So 58:02 lifetime best, and so disappointed. We've got an athlete in the top 10 running 59:20, and he's disappointed with that. So all these runners turning the corner. But Chesrek, I think he's going to be inside 60 minutes as well. So Karuri, and it's Kemboy and Chesrek. So I thought his agent Stephen Has will be cheering. I saw that he was out in Eldoret, I think, in Kenya. So he'll be cheering, I think, if he's not here himself. So keep an eye on the clock. Are these runners going to be sub 60 minutes? It's going to be very close. Nothing worse than the clock ticking down. I think they're going to be just outside the 60-minute mark. But it's going to be a lifetime best for Chesrek. There'll be a lot of fans on the forums of Let's Run cheering and typing furiously away. And he'll be pleased but disappointed. And how runners can be disappointed nowadays with times just outside 60 minutes. But there is Jean Antonio Perez inside the last 400 meters. And there is Kibwat Candy. Look at the focus. And you can tell the pain of that last few kilometers. But he stuck to his task. And the way that he opened up in that last 5 kilometers, and there you go. He went from super serious to a big smile. So he'll be delighted to be back. So Juan Antonio Perez with Cheeky on his bib number. And again, he's inside the last 500 meters now, sorry. So a little bit more running for him. So he's probably going to be around about the 62-minute mark. So be a little bit disappointed with that today. I know he wanted faster, and there was talk about going after that Spanish record. But I think that does show you that Spanish record now 20 years old. So it does show you that it's not an easy record just to turn up and beat. And
Talking about just turning up and beating the field. Well, Costerhausen in her debut is doing exactly that. So she's asked all the questions, and you saw her earlier on barging out the way some of the fast male athletes, as Mohammed, the Southampton athlete. Shiki just looks round and shake of his head. So he looks like he's had an emotional journey on this race. So looked good early on, and then struggled in the middle, then looked quite good again, and then looks like it's been a bit of an effort in the last few kilometres. So a shake of the head almost, just to say, look, I can celebrate. I'm first Spanish athlete home, and he will take a lot of pride in that as well. But I think he will be slightly disappointed. I think he would have expected a time definitely in the 61-minute mark. But I mean, again, it's not just turn up and just run super fast. As he just checks his vest, make sure his sponsors get a good showing here. So the first Spanish athlete home. So Juan Antonio Perez just outside the 62-minute mark. So and you can see that's kind of taking its toll on him. As it looks like the second of the Spanish athletes, Barbosa, there, he's delighted with that. So he's inside the 63-minute mark, and he's second Spanish athlete across the line. And again, the pain as he's outlasted Jack Rowe. I think Jack will be disappointed with this run. He's going to be just inside the 63-minute mark, but you know, ran faster than that in tough conditions at the big half. And I think Mohammed was first Britain home. And I don't think we saw Emil Caress. I don't think Emil Caress did finish. So that's a British record. That will have to wait a little bit longer, whether we wish the currently injured Jake Smith a speedy recovery back from his injury. Tipped to be someone to challenge that record as well with that 60:31 lifetime best. So now projected time. So still around the 65:40 mark. Costerhausen, that would be a fantastic debut. So we're in 1:56. Coco on her bib, and you can see the pain now. She is only starting to show a little bit of fatigue, and as I said, it's probably almost the unknown. She's into the last 600 meters. That will be the known for a track runner when you start seeing the meters to go markers, and especially when she sees 400 meters to go. She'll probably remember back to the Bell of Munich in the summer, and the crowd noise. Won't be quite the crowd noise for her today when she hears 400 meters to go, but when she hits that home straight, she'll get such great support here in Valencia, and she will definitely think about spinning those legs towards the finish. And Gabor Salama, so that is more than 2 seconds now. I'm thinking Hawa Fasea is the athlete in third place, Ngolo in fourth place, the Kenyan. There you go, 400 meters to go for Coco, and she will now be looking at her clock, at the watch, thinking just 60 seconds or there of running. Barrios, look at that, he's happy with sub 65 minutes. So look at the amount of runners going sub 65 minutes. It's a plethora. It is a sea of runners. And look at that, into the home straight. Usually in a race where you're operating at 65 minutes, there'd be a sparse road. But in Valencia, there's always big numbers. And Cheswick's done a great job, the pacer. So just one of the pacers out on the road today. As Klosterhuizen grimaces, eye on the prize, very much like what Candy was a few minutes before winning the men's. But it is going to be a fantastic performance by the German. Klosterhuizen is going to take the victory here in Valencia. There she affords herself a smile. It's a very good debut here in Valencia. Klosterhuizen is the champion in Valencia, and that time was so consistent from the first 5 kilometers, that projected time. And she looks absolutely delighted with that. So big smiles, and I'm sure her support team will be delighted that she's put together a fantastic and successful debut over the half marathon. And again, I know it's only her first half marathon, but she might start to think about a debut over the marathon distance. So probably just a few years away. She'd probably like to continue to run faster over this distance. Chalimo, so 65 minutes at best. So she's outside that today, around about the 66-minute mark, and Peritu Coman, the early athlete, pushing the pace, and she's behind this lady here, Constantine Klosterhausen. And there's the first of our Spanish athletes across the line there, Juan Antonio Perez. And you can see the pain and delight of the half marathon distance from Kimbot Candy. That's almost enough as he crosses the line. That was it. So no more than that. So, but the 2019 world bronze medalist, Klosterhausen. So strong year in 2022, a return to form. And after the pandemic impacted a lot of runners, and as we can hear, Juan Antonio Perez Moreno getting his interview. And I think he's probably saying how tough it was out there in the latter stages, and I'm sure he got great support out on the courses. We can see the clock in the background to him, 67:43, as more of the elite women cross the line. And then it's Jasmine Khan, the Turkish athlete. So she's crossed the finishing line. So Klosterhausen, fantastic depth in her profile. I mean, she's run 3:58 for 1500 meters and 4:17 for a mile, and now going all the way up to the half marathon distance. I said, you know, a world medalist on the track, and now translating that to a fantastic half marathon debut. So said not the couple of years before that she would have wanted, but I think Munich gave her the tonic that she needed, and I definitely think you're seeing an athlete with confidence now. As look at the masses, they're in 68 minutes, and you'll see a lot of club runners, and I think it's around about 600 Italian athletes that have made their way over here. About 500 Brits have travelled looking for fast times as well. So you know, it's really important, I think, you know, the Spanish athletes get their moment in the sun as well. They do such a great job here in Valencia with the support of the Trinidad Alfonso Foundation for supporting Spanish running, and I think it's really bringing on the rest of the world. So in these fantastic races that, you know, are well organised, well paced. Can't control the weather, but Valencia does its fair share of doing that with the controlled climate here. And as I said, yeah, if you've not been here to Valencia before, put it on your bucket list of races. I know a lot of runners speaking to them, they are coming out for the marathon. That is on the 4th of December. There's Sam Harrison, coached by Vince Wilson. She'll be outside her 68-minute lifetime best, but the athlete based in the Midlands in the UK. So another really good run. So Vince will always want more. So Vince, a great guy in athletics, and a former international over the 800 metres to 1500 metre distance himself, and now doing a great job with Sam Harrison, who was just a fun runner a few years ago, and is now running, and phenomenal performances, and performances at the Europeans and Commonwealths on the track, and in only a handful of track races. So look out for her, and she's got a lot of time to be made over the marathon as well. And Vince, who coaches also Callie Thackeray as well. So he's someone as well with that couple of athletes that look out for that group making great strides in the future. But that's Barzola, the second Spanish athlete across the line, and he looks delighted with his performance. He was one of the happiest athletes when he crossed the line. So Miguel, full name for Miguel Angel Barzola Estevez. Estevez, a famous Spanish name in distance running. I used to race Riz Estevez, who made a comeback, I seem to remember, over the pandemic, and ran a 14-minute 5K, which was not too shabby for a 40-year-old. So hasn't seemed to have done anything since. I think that was his return, and then disappeared again. So, but yeah, a famous name from World Championship medalist, and remember him challenging some of the greats, El Garouges of yesteryear over the mile and 1500 metres, but challenging themselves over the final mile. The masses coming down, they're just over the 71-minute mark, so still many big performances. That I think that's the French athlete Legat there, for the women's field. So she's there's a Scottish athlete. So one of the Fife athletes that outside 71 minutes, but they made the long journey from Scotland worthwhile. And so many stories, the local camera here picking up some of the local athletes that are celebrating their performances. So hard running here. As I said, many of them, this is preparation for the marathon. And you can see it was big smiles and calm faces this morning, and now grimaces and pain etched on their faces. 21 kilometers, 13 miles. As I said, many of them have traveled planes, trains and buses to be here to make their way to this start line. And they'll be getting great support in that finishing funnel here by the Polytechnic University. But straight roads, almost no elevation, almost no wind here. So it is around about 20 degrees now. So as long as the athletes have stayed hydrated, I think that could be the first of the Spanish athletes home, just obscured from our screen. So big celebrations. So underway there, the first of the Spanish athletes, and she looks absolutely delighted, and she'll be speaking to the press down there and talking through how she felt the race went. So I think just outside the 71-minute mark for the first of the Spanish female athletes home. So again, that will be worth some prize money, and that'll be worth probably an invite back for 2023. So many of these athletes will be back again. It'll be one of the first races they put on their shopping list and on their calendar, taking some time off work if they're traveling to be here. So we've seen athletes from the US, seen athletes from East Africa making their way here in their droves, and there'll be athletes across Europe that are doing very likewise. And those watching on TV and those watching the live stream, whether you are, if you are fancying the 2023 Valencia Half Marathon, then do get your entries in early. It is a very popular race, and if you've just getting ready for your long Sunday run because you're coming out for the marathon, then good chance to practice your gels or your drinks in preparation for that. So I'll be back on the microphone back in December. I'm sure the next few weeks are going to absolutely fly by, so I hope you have a good bit of preparation for that over the next few months. So or the next month or so. Don't try and put too much training in, put enough that is sustainable. Get to that start line healthy and ready to run fast. And athletes that have been running fast, look at that, we're 74 minutes and masses of runners are home. Right in the centre there, he's wearing that Kenyan flag. Kibiwott Candy first across the line, just outside 58 minutes earlier today. So that 21 kilometre mark being shown, and that'll be a welcome sign to these runners. So, and you can see the pain, and there's another one of our Spanish runners, Martha Grash, the athlete that has been here a few times, and I think she was second across the line, and good support and always good camaraderie between the Spanish athletes, and they recognise they've all gone through the same journey, and they've all had the same support out there. As I said, some will be getting themselves ready for the full marathon. Others, this is on the back of a track season that we saw earlier. This will be a good chance to have a few weeks off, to rest up, recover, before their build up into, for some then, getting ready for the road season. That's in the new year. There's always some fast half marathons in January, and the RAC one in February out in the UAE. And then for some, they might even turn their attention to some 5Ks or 3Ks indoors to spin the legs, and others it's the spring marathon season as well. So many of the marathons are going to make their way back to their springtime dates. Others, they're going to hold fire and take their time. You know, obviously it was so difficult for race organisers and those organisations behind the scenes in marathons to and half marathons as well, to make the prediction of whether to stay with these autumn dates for some of the marathons. Obviously you saw London in the autumn again, and then London now going back to their spring date. So two Londons in close proximity. So the London Marathon organisation team were delighted to organise such a great race in October, and then realised they've got to do it all again in April. So many races back, and we'll see some of these runners, they make their way over So running is a sport that people love to travel for, and obviously the Spanish athletes get a great deal here in the third largest Spanish city, with such a high quality half marathon and marathon, but they will also travel further afield as well, looking for fast times. And a great shot, look at that, the masses inside 76 minutes there, and all those across the line. So some of those would have obviously had faster times, chip timing devices on their singlets that will activate the mats when they cross that start line, and when they do likewise in the finishing line. So and again, I'm sure many different athletes around the world, whether you've been lying in bed getting ready for your Sunday run, or if you did your Sunday run early in anticipation, or your cross training, well done. I think that's a Leeds City vest there in the centre, so of the screen. So again, more of the British contingent that have made their way, and big smiles. There you go. There's Team Redalat. So Juan Antonio Redalat's running team. So he helps organise the Spanish fields. So he has his own running team as well, and so he'll be cheering his runners on as they come down, still inside the 80-minute mark. So phenomenal performances, and they'll be wanting to find out who took the men's and women's titles. Kibwat Candy just outside 58 minutes, the Kenyan taking the men's title, and Klosterhausen, the German athlete, taking the women's title in around about 65 minutes and 40 seconds. So delighted with her debut, and I'm sure we'll be getting great support out post-race now, as there'll be some good debriefs and the presentations as well that will take place, that they'll be absolutely delighted that the organisers have seen such fast times as well. Again, it will be one of those that that they put on the CV of themselves for runners to come to in the future. So there'll be negotiations with agents with those athletes that they want to get here for next year. Mark Rogue doesn't hang around. They'll be making sure that the agents and the big agents will be talked to, those from the NM running group, the other partners out there. So there'll be lots of agents watching this thinking, right, I need to get my athlete involved in this next year as well. So they'll be making sure that it is a race that if you're looking to get those performances inside the hour mark, inside the 59-minute mark, then that is one to look out for. So many of our Masters athletes now have crossed the line, and also a charity element as well, that runners running for charity, and many reasons for getting the full distance done. And so there'll be big cheers, big support for them out there. So and that is Juan Antonio Radalon there, that he'll be giving a great report of, he saw some of his own runners crossing the line, and the quality of the depth in Spanish distance running as well. But also I think that the fact that it just showcases what's great about the city of Valencia, what's great about 20,000 runners, all abilities, so all nationalities, all ages. So we've got a 79-year-old out there. I've got an update of where he's at the moment, but I will do so. We've got 17-year-olds crashing across the finishing line already. So they've got a few years to develop into fast runners. And there's a Kenyan vest. I think that's a local Spanish runner, but he'll be probably a Kenyan fan, whether he's been out and trained at one of the different venues out in Kenya, various training groups that operate and look after runners, going and doing camps. And it's a great way of kind of getting to know the local runners and the Kenyan athletes that then get great support out on the road. So, and I think today, Kibwat Candy, a favourite here, having broken the world record previously, and he's someone that he'll want to come back. I think that 1 second won't haunt him, because he did hold the world record, and world records are only borrowed. But yeah, the athlete that is a world medalist over the world half marathon as well, that he will want to come back, and I think this is the place where he would want to come back and break the world record. So and you can see the little nationality badges on the vest there. A few French athletes, German, Netherlands, Belgium athletes that as I said, have travelled far and wide to be here, and many of those little Spanish flags on their numbers. And look at that, that's a great shot. So if you do need inspiration for your Sunday run, or maybe just the rest of your Sunday day, maybe you're going pumping, picking or something, there's your results on the screen. So winning the race today, it was Kibawat Candy, 58.11. That 21 seconds back to Yomaf Kadelcha. So Daniel Matiko, the third place finisher, who will take the third spot on the podium, 58.40. And we had 6 athletes inside 60 minutes. That's in Soy. And we have 4 athletes inside 59 minutes. And then down to 10th place, Weldon Lagat, 60 minutes and 28 seconds for 10th place here at Valencia. And these masses, there's the Scottish vest we saw earlier, the Fife vest. So big support, big cheers. So friends and family would have travelled here as well. So great for the local infrastructure. So for the local hospitality as well. So full hotels, full restaurants, and great location to get to as well. So easy from Valencia Airport, but some flying into the likes of Alicante and getting the train. And there, Constantine Costa-Howson's winning time confirmed at 65 minutes and 41 seconds. Zing Gabasalama second, just 5 seconds, couldn't close it, but she'd be delighted with that lifetime best. Hira Fisera, delighted with her, just inside, or just outside, sorry, 66 minutes flat there. Agnes Ngolo, so 4th place, 66.38. And if you look at the quality, Victoria Chipgando, 67 minutes and 55 seconds. So German, Ethiopian, Turkish and Kenyan nationalities there in that top 10. And there's a Scottish athlete, one of the Fife athletes, I think that's his first name, Malcolm. So helping one of the athletes down towards the finishing line. So big first aid here. I think they pride themselves when you look at the stats. I think big numbers of medical support out on the course, on the finishing line. So 11,000 volunteers, and so it's it's big numbers, and I think 79 is the oldest runner. Actually, 18 is the youngest runner. So 18 on their 18th birthdays. So many of them finished. So percentage of runners, 20% have travelled here from abroad, and 55% from Valencia itself, and then 25% from the rest of Spain. So it is 20,000 runners coming down towards that finishing line. So and many of them, they reckon around about 2 million euros being raised. So in total, remember the next race, 22nd of October 2023. Yes, I know you had your diaries open ready to put it in there. Remember, it is a World Athletics Elite label race, and I'm sure having watched it, you know why now. So the quality of runners, the finance behind it, the organisation behind it. So best half marathon in Spain awarded by the Royal Spanish Athletics Federation. And yeah, I think the fact it's the second fastest in the world this year for men's. It is the fastest half marathon in Spain in the men's and women's categories. Part obviously of the Super Half Series as well. So Europeans half marathon circuit showcasing the best half marathons in Europe. And I think that's really important. So it really does showcase the best that Europe has to offer in relation to European running. And as I said, runners love to travel. They love to go around the world. And so if you are watching this wherever you are in the world, so far and wide, then yeah, put in that diary, 22nd of October 2023, and look out for that marathon date. So it's been a super day here, and there's still lots and lots of the day to go for some of our runners out on the streets, expecting some runners 2.5, 3 hours of running. Don't forget various waves that we had going off. So well organised, well-oiled machine here at the Valencia Half Marathon Trinidad Alfonso Zurich 2022. Loads of other partners and supporters, and as I said, 11,000 11,000 volunteers that make this event possible. It's just a superb event that just goes from strength to strength year on year. So the music is blasting here on the finishing line, and it's a chance to welcome home all of our runners home as we have looked at the leaderboards for men and women. And we look forward to bringing home all of our runners across the finishing line as the action goes on today. So if you're still watching the signs and sounds of the finishing line here at Valencia, the clock ticking towards that 90-minute mark, but many of these runners will be inside that, given the fact that they started off in various waves. And but what a fantastic day here it's been in Valencia. So Kimbot Candy crossing the line just outside 58 minutes. Costin Costerhausen winning the women's race in 65 minutes and 41 seconds. I can see athletes in front of me going for their cool down. So if 13.1 miles, 21.1 kilometers wasn't enough, they're still going. Ethiopia, there's a Bolivia flag flying. Many nationalities, many national flags have been flown today, from our elites to everyone that's crossed the line. Thank you for letting me know that.